Hello everyone, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I am so excited to share this card with you guys. I had so much fun making it, and I think this is my all-time favorite Halloween project that I have ever crafted. And this is my entry into Maria's giveaway challenge on her YouTube and Instagram channels. Maria is rprmlr772 here on YouTube, and she's asked folks to share their favorite Halloween or fall projects. And I have been wanting to use these doggy stamps from My Favorite Things and transform them into Halloween doggy stamps for quite some time. And so I finally just took a few days to design each of these little costumes for these little pups. I picked the My Favorite Things Lucky Dog, You Make My Tail Wag, and You Have My Heart stamp sets. And I took all of the dogs that were full-size dogs and made little costumes for them. As much as I love dressing up my dogs in costumes, they don't really like it. So this was perfect for me. I could design little costumes for all of these puppies, and I didn't get any complaints. So let me tell you first about the structure of the card. Because I wanted to make so many of these dogs, I knew I needed a card or some kind of structure that would allow me to create lots of layers. So I decided I was going to try making a bendy card. And I will put a link in the description box below to the tutorial that I followed. But the dimensions of my card are different from the tutorial. And if you're interested in the dimensions that I used on my card, this is 6.5 by 6.5. Please check out my blog post, which I will also link to below. So let me go ahead and tell you guys how I prepared the background, and then I'll go through each of the little dogs and tell you about how I designed their costumes. So for the base, what I did was I took a cardstock base, 6.5 by 6.5, and I used some Tim Holtz Distress inks, all of which will be listed in my blog post, and I just did a lot of blending. I cut out layers with the My Favorite Things Grassy Hillside die. That's this one right here on the corner. And I decided each of the little panels was going to be a grassy hillside. Then for the sky, I made a little mask out of a Post-it note, placed that right there, and used my blending tool to go all the way around so that I could have a graded color. For the horizon, I used a yellow so that it would look like it was dusk and the sun had just set and the moon was up. And to create that moon, I started with a light blue and then a medium blue and then the darkest blue at the edges of the card. And then for the craters of the moon, I used a technique that I learned from Sandy Allnuck, which is to draw little circles using a Copic B21 and then erasing most of it with a 0 so that it looks like craters. And now for each of the dogs' costumes. Let me start back here. This is the little corgi, which started off looking like this. It's from the Lucky Dog set. And what I did was I stamped out his head twice so that I could create a little bit of dimension. So you can see there. And I drew in the Headless Horseman so that it looks like the Headless Horseman is riding on top of the corgi. You know, a lot of doggy costumes are like that. So I wanted to draw him up like he was a little horse that the Headless Horseman doll was riding. For the Haunted Doggy Mansion, what I did was I took this house, this doggy house, and I wiped away this bottom portion and stamped this out and then extended the lines so that it would be taller in the middle. Then I inked up one side, wiped away the details of the bones because I didn't want that to distract, and stamped that out here and doodled in a window and also some cracks in the shingles. I did the same thing again. I masked off this side, wiped away some of the details here, stamped it out, and I did this one a little bit off kilter because I wanted the look of a rickety haunted house. And again, I drew in the little window, and for the sign up here, this dog bone is already on the doghouse, but I needed to wipe away the little rivets. And then I took another smaller bone from the stamp set, this one here, And I popped up both of those and hand wrote in Happy Halloween and also drew in more kind of cracks and crevices so that it would look all old like the rickety haunted house. Next, this little puppy here, this little leprechaun, started life as this Westie. So I drew in his little top hat, left his bow but deleted the tails of the bow, drew in a little blazer and a little vest, and I also drew in a line here and drew in some hair back here so that it would look like he has a red beard and mop of hair. And I think that came out so cute. Now for this little Chihuahua, it was really easy. I didn't have to extend any of the lines. I just drew in a little spider web at the top, a little heart, did some black and white stripes so that the eyes look like they had the face painting, like the Day of the Dead face painting. And I drew in some simple lines to give the sense of kind of a skeleton costume. Really easy and so cute, I think, to give the Day of the Dead look to the Chihuahua. Then for this little guy here, he started off life looking like this. I eliminated the collar, gave him a bow tie, a little medallion. I drew in a couple of little fangs, a cape, so that he would look like a Dracula. Then for this little dog here, I made him into kind of a Weimaraner coloring, and I drew in a cape, the logo for Superman, and then colored him up with Superman colors. And that was a really easy transformation too. It was just a little tricky drawing in the S. Then for this little chubby guy here, I drew in some simple bee wings, some little bee antenna, and then gave him a little bee outfit that he has strapped onto him. And I think it's so funny that a big dog like this has a little tiny bee costume. And then this little dog here, I eliminated his tail so that I could extend it. And I also wiped away this little part of his back because I knew I wanted to draw in wings to make him look like he's wearing a dragon costume. And otherwise, that was really simple. I just had to draw little triangles along his head and back and draw in these little wings. Isn't he cute? And then for the poodle right here, I eliminated the entire body and just left her head because I knew I wanted to make her look like she was dressed in a Pokeball costume. I just took a circle and traced around it and then hand drew in the little simple Pokeball markings. And then lastly, this little guy here that's dressed up like the Cookie Monster started off life like that. And all I had to do was wipe away the top of his head right here before stamping him out. And then I could draw in the top of this costume. And this body part, actually, I could keep within the line of the exterior. And I could just eliminate his hind leg here that's being lifted up. And then I drew in a little back paw, just the hint of a back paw back there. And drew in really simple, big, googly eyes for the Cookie Monster. So this is my card. I had so much fun creating it, and I hope you guys will give stamp altering a try. It really stretches our stamps, and, well, can't get cuter than dogs in Halloween costumes, right? Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys are having a wonderful crafty day.